Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of The Week Ahead. I'm Zach Grimes, and today I'm joined by Wayne Cartmel, founder of MyNewTerm, an award-winning education recruitment platform connecting schools and candidates directly. Wayne, thank you for joining me today. How are you?
Yeah, really good to be here. Good to see you, Zach.
Likewise. So Wayne, you've obviously got a background in teaching, from what I can see on your website. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself, and for our guests and audience, can you educate them a little bit more about what MyNewTerm is?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Wayne Cartmel. I'm founder at MyNewTerm. If I kind of go back in time, the reason that I started MyNewTerm was when I was teaching. So I taught maths and business at secondary level in schools in Bedfordshire, and it was at the point that I came to apply for job vacancies that I realised the process as a candidate or an applicant that you had to go through to apply for those vacancies. And I just thought there must be a better way of doing this. And it was my own pain and frustration and thinking that why has nobody done this? And so I set about the journey to developing what is now MyNewTerm, and we work with thousands of schools across the country to digitise their recruitment process.
Fantastic. Well, it certainly sounds like it's solving a lot of pain points because yes, I've been through that process myself, and it can be quite difficult to fill out the traditional application form. So credit to you. And you mentioned that you're working across schools across the country. But what does your week ahead look like? I know. A bit of a spoiler alert, but you are coming to the Camera event in London on Thursday. What does a typical week around that look like for you?
Yeah, as is always the saying, there is no such thing as a typical week, if you like. This is the first week in what feels like quite some time that we've not had an event or something to go to. Other than I mean, like an event from a company perspective. I know I'm presenting at the Canberra event later this week. So yeah, we've just kind of finished it's like event season within the education sector, and we've kind of just finished those as of last week. This week, I've got a multitude of things going on, but just things that come to mind. I'm speaking with several customers. One in particular I'm particularly excited about speaking to, who's kind of got some ideas for what new developments and features that they kind of like seeing. There's nothing more important to me than kind of speaking to people that are really, users of our product and what we do, and they're the ones that really help shape our direction and what we do going forward. So speaking to customers being one, obviously presenting at the event on Thursday, which I'm really looking forward to kind of present about recruitment and retention within the sector. And then to finish off the week on Friday evening, we're actually at an award ceremony. So MyNewTerm has been shortlisted for an award for School Recruitment Company of the Year. So we'll be there on Friday evening in London.
Oh, amazing. Well, wishing you the best of luck of that. That sounds like a great way to finish off the week.
Yeah.
You mentioned there you're speaking with partners, clients, and about doing some new features. Obviously, the recruitment space in education is competitive. It has been for a long time. There are different options that trusts and schools can look to platforms such as yourself. How do you maintain a competitive advantage, and what have you got to do to kind of keep that attraction for your organisation and to, I suppose, ease the pain points that trusts and schools go through?
Yeah, a multitude of things is the answer. But I think in a nutshell, we know that there's a challenge with recruitment within the sector. And it's a buyer's market. So it's a candidate's market, if you like, and in particular where we've got real shortage subject areas or challenges recruiting people. And a lot of that now is also in support roles as well. It's not just teachers that people might associate with as being the challenges. And the way that I kind of always look at it is how can we make that experience as easy as possible for those candidates that are applying? So yes, as an employer, we need to obviously comply with keeping children safe in education guidelines to ensure that we've got everything that we need from a KITSE compliance perspective. But actually, what does that journey look like for somebody that's applying to our organisation? And what's that experience in people as a result of our application process before they even get through the door? And in many cases where schools have got either a manual process or something that isn't quite up to scratch, it is the case that they're losing a lot of potentially good people because of their application process. And really that's what I fixated on since day one. How can we make that process an experience for a user as good as it possibly can be. And we've got thousands and thousands of candidate testimonials now and Google reviews, which all demonstrate about that communication throughout the process, but also ensuring that it can just be as easy as it possibly can be to apply in the first place.
Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, there were two words that stuck out there for me: the user experience, and I think it's detrimental. As you were talking, I'm picturing this sales funnel. Because that funnel it is required within every job application process. But I think the key there for me was around that user experience. So it's great to see an organisation like yourself really kind of putting that at the forefront. But obviously, recruitment is probably the biggest challenge across the sector right now. Yes, there are obviously issues and headaches that we all face around admissions and engagement, etc. But I think a lot of it does still focus around the recruitment aspect of staff. I've talked about previously, and you alluded to it there, then about it's not just about teachers, it's the support staff as well. And on this show, I've talked about an example of where I've seen a school close to myself, where they're competing with a local supermarket distribution centre now that's recently opened, and has put a banner up saying term time contracts available. So where schools have had that USP in the past for support staff, that's no longer the case. But how are you seeing it? Are you seeing a decline in applications? Are you seeing it? What are the biggest challenges you're seeing out there right now?
Yeah, real variation is the answer, I suppose. I mean, going back 10 plus years, we were talking about recruitment being a challenge then, and in particular, we were talking then for maths and science, and it's really just expanded out much more beyond that now. Very much kind of like post-COVID, if you like, to incorporate support staff, and lots of reasons why schools are also finding it difficult to recruit support staff. You've just given a prime example there about other industries that we're now competing with. But education has some pretty unique areas to it, and there is no more rewarding sector than education, and there is an awful lot going for it. So yes, there are challenges, but there are also things that schools and employers have the ability to control and thereby obviously influence the recruitment that they're able to make as well.
Would you say communication then is across the board is an issue in terms of you say that I completely agree. I work in this sector because it's rewarding.
Yeah,
I'm a chartered marketer. I could probably take my skill set and apply it to most industries. But I've built a career in education, as cliche as it sounds, because I really like to see the value and the impact it can have on people. I'm not just selling a product. But across the board, is there a missing piece around communication, would you say, to really shout about
that? Yeah. I mean, there's lots of things kind of on a national level that there is, but those and people like yourselves that do work within education, just how rewarding it can be. And the difference that you can make to the lives of children. And that's why it's such a unique opportunity for people that are working in the sector. And obviously this is marketing professionals, HR professionals, and it's not just your kind of teachers and leaders and people in the classroom, if you like. There is a lot of opportunity in other areas as well. Yeah.
I mean, there's obviously, you look at the headlines on a weekly basis, and there is challenges around teacher recruitment. If we take a focus on that, behaviour nationally seems to be a challenge, and potentially an off-put for people. But are you seeing any data that's showing this decline, or are we still seeing a lot of people wanting to apply for jobs in the sector?
Yeah, so we've done some data analysis of our own actually, and some of which will be shared at the event that I'm doing on Thursday about the number of applications and the dip in applications that we've seen. And we can separate that out by teachers and support staff. So since COVID, as an example, we've seen a 50% drop in applications for certain roles, which is it's really significant in terms of that difference, and therefore ensuring that things like our application experience and that we can actually not put people off is therefore really important. But also just having data as well to show, well, where are your candidates actually coming from is really important for people to think about. And our data shows that on average, the average candidate that's working within a school is 3.8 miles away from that particular school. So we don't need to advertise like really nationally or broadly. We just need to really focus on our core target audience. If you look at support staff, it's even less. It's 2.2 miles. Teachers about 7 miles from the school. So when you start to understand and think about this data, and you can obviously look at your own local context as well, that can really help shape and inform, well, how do we target and who is it that we're actually looking for, as opposed to just a general sort of marketing campaign and whatever that might look like. So yeah, data is really important to help us and shape what we're doing.
That's really insightful. Thank you for sharing that, Wayne. I'm looking forward to learning more about that on Thursday, because I'm a big advocate in you've got to use data not just to make decisions, but to help come to that conclusion. And certainly from a geographic perspective, there, what you talked about in terms of the location, I think that could really help to look at a place-based approach to campaigns. Because people do think that everything, and I can be guilty of it myself sometimes, that you've got to do everything digital to get that reach and that exposure. But actually, there's still a lot to be said around that place-based approach of doing stuff in a physical way. From what you're saying there, in terms of the data shows actually within a small location, we're seeing the best successes. In terms of your client base, with the trust schools that you work with, the ones that are getting applications and are having success with appointments, what are they doing right?
So a lot of it is about branding as an employer. So at MyNewTerm, as an example, schools and trusts have the ability to brand their careers page and therefore their job vacancies. That could including photos and imagery from the school and pupils and interactions and promotional videos, prospectuses. What is it about your organisation or school why would somebody want to work there, and what makes you different from either the school down the road or ultimately other industries as well that obviously we're competing against? And how can you really showcase that when people are job searching, and to let that to be to ECTs and teachers coming obviously through, or whether that to be experienced professionals, and how can we really showcase that? And there is an ample opportunity and a real unique opportunity for schools to do that from a marketing perspective.
Yeah, I love that word branding, because I think the difference for me between marketing and branding is, marketing is very much short term. What do we need to do now to gain a short term impact? But actually, if you build all that over time, that builds your brand.
Yeah,
and I think that we've got to look at this collectively on a national basis. This crisis as a branding piece of work to get ourselves out of this in the long term. So I really like that answer you gave on that. Do you think, to me, as I was listening there, it's about storytelling as well and piecing that together. But do you think that leaders and teachers themselves have to showcase that and be at the forefront? Almost, we're talking about branding. Do you think there's an element of personal branding that's required too?
Yeah, absolutely. And this goes in the case across the board, if you like. It's not just unique to this scenario, but whether you could be talking about admissions and not just recruitment, but that personal branding makes a huge difference. And therefore, think about promotional videos, and you don't see that many schools taking the opportunity. So it does provide you with an opportunity to stand out when from a personal brand, whether that be a head teacher or somebody, or teachers within the school or ECTs kind of sharing their story. People can really engage with that. They can engage thinking, yeah, I would like to be part of that organisation because they really value and they would provide me with the CPD or the opportunities or development. And you've got to really, showcase that, because as much as you might know that internally as an organisation that you do it, how does that candidate that doesn't know anything about you, how are you going to really ensure that you're promoting that when you are, looking at promoting the opportunities that you have as an organisation, but also proactively doing it as well? Because as a job seeker, I'm obviously searching for jobs at a specific time, for example. But when you've got job vacancies, might be a very different time than I'm searching. But I might really want to work at your organisation or your school. And again, utilising MyNewTerm, for example, it can be a two-way relationship. So candidates can join the talent pool for a school or a trust and say, look, I really want to work at your organisation. Here's my application. You don't currently have a vacancy for whether that's a TA job, a cleaner job, a teacher job, whatever it might be. However, I really want to work for you. So here's my application. And then also that school or that employer, when they come round to it and they do have that opportunity available, they can then proactively reach out and see whether that candidate is still interested. So it can very much be a two-way relationship as well, but you've got to provide the facility and opportunity for that to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge advocate of that talent pool. The trust I work for, Laura's Trust, we've got a sub-brand called Laura's Jobs, and they actually won an award in the last academic year, partly because of the drive around this talent pool innovation and the benefits it had in terms of appointing people. So, I live and breathe in terms of what you say, that it does work for anyone that is listening, because it's a great intel as well, isn't it, in terms of giving you signals into where people are looking or interested in jobs that you may not have right now. I didn't realise that was a feature you offer, so yeah, I think I completely fly the flag for that. I think it's a great tool to look at if you don't have it in place already. But in terms of going back to that attractiveness, is there anything else you think is a must for schools or trusts to have to really make themselves appealing to prospective candidates or collectively for the sector?
As a school, the most important thing that you can do is engage with your community. And thinking about the community from a parent body, obviously the pupils, but extended families within there, they've all got a connection to your school, and obviously they're potentially the wider trust if you're part of the trust. And how you can really engage in that and ensure that you talk about the personal brand, that you're seen and you're visual, and therefore people see you at lots of different touch points. Because as a candidate, when I apply for a job, yes, I might be searching, but if I don't know anything about you and I've not seen anything about you before, it's probably less likely that I'm going to take that opportunity to apply. But if I've seen you at various different touch points along that journey, you're much more inclined to then obviously submit your application or even proactively, join that school's talent pool. So yeah, I would kind of say and summarize it as how you can take as many opportunities as you possibly can to engage with your local community, where you will find the majority of your candidates within that sort of local radius around your school.
Brilliant. That's really good to hear. And just finally from me, Wayne, do you think there's something that collectively as trusts, as schools, I know we are competitive at a local level for staff and even for students, so there is always that worry that that you don't want to be working too close with your competitors. But should there be some collaboration in given the state of play with the recruitment crisis, for everyone to be working together to make the sector more attractive? And if so, how would that look to you? Yeah,
so I think broadly speaking, schools do this very well. And yes, okay, there's an element of competition there, but actually I think, we all are doing this to improve the life chances of children and obviously the education of the next generation. And obviously at a national level, that ultimately has to be driven at the very top level in terms of those communications and attractiveness of the industry. And there are changes that are taking place, and obviously with a new government, there will be further changes on the horizon. To make education, a really attractive place to work, because it's got so much going for it, and there is it's such a unique sector to work in, and going back to where we started this conversation, just incredibly rewarding. And that piece about how we can communicate that much more effectively, is something that will only help.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. That's my kind of personal view on it. So I just wanted to kind of pose that question to see whether it's something you share. So thank you for that. I know obviously on Thursday we're going to delve into this a lot deeper.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great event down in Canva in London, because that's going to be the focus of the day, is to really arm people that are attending. We've got a mix of marketers across the MarCommEd community. We've even got some HR professionals who work within trusts and have the recruitment and marketing as part of their roles attending. But it's a day that's going to be really focused in hearing from people like yourself, to be able to put a plan together so that come January, which is obviously a big recruitment time for us all, we're armed with a plan which hopefully has some alignment, and that everyone feels more confident and competent to be able to give it a good go with the challenges that have arise. So it's going to be an exciting day. And I'm really looking forward to having you there. But beyond that, where can people find you if they want to reach out to you?
So LinkedIn is the place where you can kind of connect with me and obviously get in touch if you want further details, or likewise through our website, which is MyNewTerm.com. And by all means, reach out, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Amazing. Well, I will be seeing you on Thursday in person, Wayne. It will be nice to meet in the flesh.
Yeah.
But I know you've got a busy week ahead, so I'd just like to say a big thank you for coming on today and fitting us in your schedule. And I just want to say a big thank you to everyone that's listening as well. I'm sure you'll be getting people connecting or being in touch, because from what you've covered there today, it's certainly of interest, and I'm really looking forward to finding more insights from what you share from your data with us later this week.
Thanks again. Really appreciate the invite, and absolute pleasure, and look forward to joining you on Thursday.
No problem. Thank you, Wayne.